Now, the next tool we're going to talk about is going to be the thickness sander. Now, this is a smaller version of the dual drum sander that we have in the shop, and you've already seen the video on that. This one has a single drum in here, and it's wound the same way, diagonally, with a sheet, 3-inch wide roll of sandpaper in various grits. The drum is driven directly by the motor, and then there's a second motor that drives the conveyor belt. Now, when it's time to actually start operating this, it is a portable tool, so it has a regular plug, and you'll have to get an extension cord to plug it in. And it will not operate unless you have the key. Now, the key slides in the on-off switch, and that allows you to turn the machine on and off. Now, the large red knob will turn the large motor on, which drives the drum. The smaller dial will control the conveyor belt, and it also controls the speed. But because of the way the machine is built, it has an automatic regulating sensor in it. And you just turn it all the way over to the full, which is 100. You put it all the way over there, and if the motor comes under a load where you're trying to take off too much material or the material is a little harder, the sensor will automatically slow the conveyor belt. So you don't have to try to guess at the correct speed for the conveyor belt. The sensor will do that for you. It produces a great deal of sawdust, so you do need to turn on the dust collection system that we've talked about in other videos. To control the distance between the drum and the conveyor belt, you use the handle over here. Now, there's a lead screw right here that goes into the yoke that moves this drum up and down. Now, the lead screw itself is 16 threads per inch. So I don't need to try to calculate how much I'm lowering this with each pass. I can do it by the actual rotation of the knob. If it's 16 threads per inch, then when I rotate this one full turn, then I have either raised or lowered this drum by 1/16 of an inch. It has to be that way because you have 16 threads per inch on the lead screw. So if I wanted to lower this drum by a 32nd of an inch, then I would simply lower it 1/2 turn. I mean, I know I've lowered this exactly 1/32 of an inch. Now, there's a plate right here with a direction arrow, and it says down. So it's real easy to know which direction to turn the handle to make the drum go either up or down. If you turn it counterclockwise, it goes down. If you go clockwise, it goes up. And the little arrow helps you remember that. Now, a lot of times, 32nd of an inch is too much for one pass. So you would go 1/4 turn. Now, you automatically know that you've lowered that drum exactly 1/64 of an inch. And there's a lot of times when that's all you want to take off when you're doing the final sanding. We normally leave 80 grit paper on this tool, but we do have grits all the way down to 220. But it's generally easier to go ahead and do the final sanding with random orbital sanders rather than this. But we can, if the project needs it, we can change the grits on the drum. Now, the important thing is to keep your fingers out from under here. There are pressure rollers on the underside, and it would be possible to get your fingers under here and get them trapped where it's going to pull your whole hand. And it would simply wind up crushing your fingers. On the inside, on either side of this drum, are pressure rollers, and it's difficult to see them from that angle. But the pressure rollers are what actually keep the work down onto the conveyor belt. It produces the friction. This conveyor belt is covered with, it's actually a sandpaper belt itself. And it produces enough friction to keep the wood moving as it's going through the drum. You have an in-feed and an out-feed table that give you a little bit more surface area to support the work as it's going through. It's very important to know that you cannot put really short pieces through here. It has to be long enough to where the pressure roller on the outboard side will catch the work before the inboard pressure roller releases it. If you put a piece that's shorter than the distance between those two rollers, then the piece is not being held down against the conveyor belt. And it never ends well. So do not try to put short pieces. They must be at least 6 inches long to go through here well. When you're doing shorter pieces and smaller pieces, there is a way to build a carrier board. Generally, they have to be made specific for the pieces you're trying to sand. But you can sand very thin and very small pieces, but you have to build a carrier board that will control the small pieces while it's going through here. That's not something we do a great deal of, but it can be done, and it's something that you would have to see your instructor about. Now, there is a gauge on the side that will show you the depth of cut. That's not very accurate, and I don't recommend you try to use it. The best way to set up this tool to make your first pass is done a little bit differently, and you won't use the gauge at all. Now, the best way to do that is to simply open the lid, take your piece, and raise that until the piece will slide under it. Now, it's not touching the drum at all. But if I spin that drum as I lower it, then I know exactly when it comes in contact with the work. And I know what position the handle is in. You just slide that. Now, this is just barely in contact, so I can take this piece out. Then I can decide how much I want to take off. And in this case, let's say it's a 32nd of an inch. Then I would look at the arrow, and I would move this 1/2 turn, close the lid, turn on the dust collector, and now I'm ready to run this through for my first pass. And then once I sand this side, then I can flip it over, change the setting on here, do my second pass, and keep going until I've got it to the thickness that I want. It's a very versatile tool. It's not for massive stock removal. We have the planer for that. This would be used primarily, for instance, on the cutting board that we're making. Once we get all the pieces of the cutting board glued up, they're not going to be exactly lined up perfectly. So we would run this, the cutting board through this machine, and we would get the top and bottom sanded perfectly flat and perfectly parallel on both sides. So it's a very versatile tool, but it's a sander, it's not a planer. And we have to be real careful that we move this piece of wood. So we use the entire width of the sandpaper and wear it out evenly. It's the same concept we talked about with the planer and with the dual drum sander. We don't want to just run this through the center time and time again. It'll just wear out that small piece of sandpaper in the center and leave the two sides untouched. So you want to constantly be changing the position of the piece as you sand it. So we use the entire width of the drum. And that's just about it on the drum sander. It's a fairly simple tool, it's a very versatile tool, and it comes in really, really handy. And that's about it for now, and we'll talk about another tool another day.